Title: The Weight of Her Perfume. The air in the apartment was thick with a scent of jasmine and amber, a perfume that clung to the walls like a secret too heavy to whisper. I stood frozen in the doorway, my keys dangling from my hand, the metallic clink echoing in the silence. On the coffee table, a half-empty wine glass sat beside a crumpled scarf. Hers, not mine. My heart lurched, a sickening thud against my ribs, as if it knew something my mind refused to accept. For weeks, I'd ignored the signs. The late-night texts that lit up Ethan's phone, the ones he'd tilt away from me with a smile too tight to be genuine. The way he'd linger at the door, checking his reflection in the hall mirror before meeting his sister Lila, for their weekly catch-ups. I told myself it was nothing. Lila was family after all. But the scarf, that delicate silk thing reeking of her perfume, wasn't family. It was an invasion. I sank onto the couch, the fabric cold against my thighs, and stared at the scarf as if it could confess. Ethan and I had been together for 3 years, our love a quiet, steady thing built on late-night talks and shared mugs of coffee. He was the man who'd trace circles on my palm when I was anxious, who'd laugh at my terrible puns. But lately, those moments felt like ghosts, fading under the weight of his distance. And Lila, she was always there, hovering, her sharp eyes dissecting me like I was an intruder in her brother's life. "Why do you let her treat you like that?" I'd asked him once, after Lila snapped at me for rearranging his kitchen cabinets. "She's just protective," he'd said. His voice soft but firm, like he was shielding her from me. Protective. The word tasted bitter now, curling in my throat as I clutched the scarf. Protective sisters didn't leave their scent all over your boyfriend's apartment. The front door clicked open and my pulse spiked. Ethan stepped inside. His coat dusted with snowflakes that melted into dark spots on his shoulders. His eyes flicked to the scarf, then to me, and for a moment, his face was a blank canvas. No guilt, no surprise, just a flicker of something I couldn't name. "You're home early," he said. His voice too casual, like he was commenting on the weather. "Whose is this?" I held up the scarf, my fingers trembling. The question hung between us, sharp and jagged, slicing through the pretense of normalcy. He hesitated just a beat too long. "Lila's. She stopped by earlier. Must have forgotten it." His words were smooth, practiced, but his hands twitched at his sides, betraying him. "Lila," I repeated, the name a blade in my mouth. "She's here a lot, isn't she? Always checking on you, always mothering you." My voice cracked and I hated it, hated how small I sounded. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but doubt gnawed at me. What if I was wrong? What if I was the paranoid one, seeing shadows where there was only light? Ethan crossed the room, his boots leaving wet smudges on the hardwood. He sat beside me, close but not touching, his warmth a cruel reminder of what we used to be. "You're overthinking this, Sarah. Lila's just Lila. She's always been intense. You know that." "Do I?" I searched his face, looking for the man I loved, but his eyes were guarded, like windows shuttered against a storm. "She texts you at midnight. She shows up unannounced. She acts like I'm stealing you from her." My voice rose, raw and unsteady. "And now her scarf's here, smelling like she never left. Tell me I'm crazy, Ethan. Tell me I'm imagining things." He looked away, his jaw tight, and in that silence my heart splintered. I thought of the times I'd brushed off Lila's behavior, the way she'd interrupt our dinners, her hand lingering on his arm, the way she'd call him my Ethan like he was a possession. I'd told myself it was sibling closeness, a bond one couldn't understand because I'd grown up alone. But now the pieces didn't fit. The late nights, the whispered phone calls, the scarf. It was too much, too deliberate. "Say something," I whispered, my throat burning. "Please." He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture I used to find endearing but now felt like a stall. "You're not crazy," he said finally, his voice low, almost a confession. "But it's not what you think." My stomach dropped. "Then what is it?" I leaned forward, desperate for an explanation that wouldn't break me. Because it feels like you're hiding something. Like you're choosing her over me. His eyes met mine, and for the first time I saw guilt, raw, unfiltered, like a wound he couldn't hide. Lila's complicated, he said, each word heavy, as if he were pulling them from some dark place. She's been through a lot. She needs me. Needs you how? My voice was sharp now, cutting through the haze of my denial. She's your sister, Ethan, not your wife. Why does she act like she owns you? He flinched, and that small movement was a crack in the dam. It's not like that, he said, but his voice wavered, and I knew with a clarity that made my chest ache, that he was lying. Not just to me but to himself. I stood, the scarf falling to the floor like a shed skin. I saw her car outside last night, I said, the memory rushing back, a detail I'd buried under rationalizations. You said you were working late, but her car was here. At 2 in the morning. My voice trembled, but I pushed forward, the truth clawing its way out. What was she doing here, Ethan? What's going on? He stood too, his face pale. His hands outstretched like he could hold back the tide. Sarah, please. It's not. Don't lie to me. The words exploded from me, raw and jagged, tearing through the quiet. I deserve the truth. After everything, I deserve that much. He looked at me, his eyes glistening, and for a moment I thought he'd break, that he'd confess whatever dark secret was eating him alive. But then his phone buzzed, a sharp, intrusive sound, and he glanced at it instinctively. The name on the screen was Lila's. The room spun. My knees buckled, and I gripped the back of the couch, the fabric rough under my palms. Answer it, I said, my voice cold, foreign. Go on. Answer her. He didn't move, but his silence was answer enough. The truth wasn't infidelity in the way I'd feared. Not a lover, not a stranger, but something deeper, more twisted. Lila wasn't just his sister. She was his anchor, his obligation, a bond that ran so deep it left no room for me. And he'd let her consume him, let her poison what we had, because he couldn't, or wouldn't, break free. I can't do this, I whispered, tears burning my eyes. I can't compete with her. You don't have to, he said, stepping toward me, but I backed away, the space between us a chasm now. Then why does it feel like I've already lost? My voice broke, and with it, something inside me shattered. I grabbed my coat, my hands shaking, and walked toward the door, the scent of jasmine and amber trailing me like a ghost. As I stepped into the snow, the cold biting my skin, I heard him call my name, but I didn't turn back. The betrayal wasn't a single act. It was every moment he'd chosen her over me, every secret he'd kept to protect her. And the twist, the cruelest part, was that I still loved him, even as I walked away, knowing I'd never be enough to break their bond.